discovering on the journey of self. So it is so important that you took out time for this purpose, and it is very helpful for other guys also to get inspired with. So we'll start a little bit of what we had covered last week by Bhaktivinoda Prabhu. So, and then I'll ask some question in between if you can try to recollect what you have learned, and then we'll go into this second session of it about does God exist. So we'll go and see what we had learned last week. So we learned something about purpose of happiness. So like everybody is looking for the happiness, and nobody wants to be sad. And for that, we kind of learned about what is the difference between human and animals. So we learned there something which is common to both human and animals. It is acronym is SEED. If anybody remembers and want to say what this SEED stands for.
Sleep, eat.
Perfect. And
eat, enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
And death. I don't know. No.
Not exactly death.
Death is somewhere we studied on. Okay. Sleep, eat, enjoyment, and procreation, I think. No, that's enjoyment.
It is different. Everybody,
different.
Different senses with different purpose as such. But these are the 4 common things. And then we learned something about ABCD. But before that, we learned some common things, that is SEED. And then what is the difference of being a human? What was the higher purpose, what we talk about as a ABCD?
Ability,
yes. Ability to inquire.
And
perfect. Ability to inquire about higher purpose.
Right. That is the difference, I think, between the humans and the
animals. Perfect. What is B stands for?
I don't remember now.
Okay, no problem. B stands for bliss.
Oh yeah, bliss.
And C stands for choices we make.
And
determination.
Again, D starts for determination to.
Perfect. To determination. Yes.
We want to do.
Correct. So whatever things we want to do, we have a choices, we have a free will, we are determined to do those. Perfect. So, and then we also learned about something called as BODY. It is wrongly written, I guess. So it is BODD. So BODD was the one, and AAABAD. So a lot of acronyms, but we'll revise those. So BODD is birth, old age, disease, and death. These are called as real problems of life. And relative problems can be anything. It can be different relative problems based on which platform we are right now in, and what part of our journey of life. If we are child, problem can be, oh, I don't have this toy, my mama is not giving me enough like toys, or my friend says this, I want this. If we are young and vibrant, we are going for the job, we want to have a big house, big car, or like that. So, and everybody's relative problem can be different, but the real problems of life starts with birth, old age, disease, and death. So when we inquire about those, then we are actually questioning the real problems of life. And then we saw that something about 3 miseries which everybody goes through. So it is called as the real problems, and defined as which is common to all, nobody wants it, and nobody can escape from it. So what are the real problems of life? Definitely birth, old age, disease, and death. And which is, we are dealing with our mind and body, which is adhyatmic. Adhibhautik is the miseries caused by the other living entities, and adhidevik by natural calamities. And the temporary solutions which we discussed last time was scientific advancement which we go through, and then the speculation which person may be doing to solve the problem, and then the superficial activities which perform maybe person may be following so that he can get out of those problems. But what is the permanent solution? Permanent solution is actually uh, being connected to the real source, and that is we are in union with God. That is called as connection to God. We call it as yoga also. And then Prabhuji discuss about the things of this world, which is, we are kind of behind, and which you are seeking for the right thing, but at the wrong place. So that's why it is called as the place of miseries, dukkhalaya. So all these things we had discussed in our last session, and that was mainly about for the search for happiness. So this search for happiness leads us to, inquire about the source of happiness, which is God. So that's what we are discussing in this session. So our session stands for today is, does God exist? So it is definitely a very big topic in itself, but at the same time everybody may have a different opinion of it. So I just wanted to see and ask you a question: does God really exist? And if he exists, then how many of you believe in God and why? If anybody wants to like to answer that, and with the reason also, maybe 1 or 2 lines is sufficient. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to answer on that? Like, how many of you believe in God? It is definitely one more thing. You need not to be, in a peer pressure. If everybody is saying I believe in, then you also say you believe in. If somebody says, oh, you don't believe, then you also say don't believe. It is about self discovery.
Right.
What you think and why?
So we all actually are taught to believe in God when we are young. So we actually, at least in like the culture we are born in, right? We are aware of God, even if we don't know if that's demigod or the supreme personality. We know that there is somebody we pray to and they are protecting us, they are providing for us. So that's how you actually learn about God when you're young. And that's the awareness you are brought up with. And then as you grow older, you start to question yourself or the things around you, or you start to understand things in your own way. And when you're learning, so I've been going to the Bhagavad Gita classes and everything, and so that's when I have realized, okay, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. The other gods that we have been praying to are all like demigods. They have all been they all have they are actually super powerful, and they are all um you know reverential. Of course, we have been taught that, right?
Yes,
But
Mataji. So definitely, like you mentioned, very good point, because you have been attending Bhagavad Gita classes, and you mentioned about Krishna also. So we are like definitely not discussing on the detail part of it. I was just asking about, do you
okay.
believe in God? If it is yes, and if yes, why? What is the reason?
Okay. So I've always believed in God. It's like how we are believing in God and what we are believing in is changing as we are growing in this spiritual path. So yes, I believe in God. And why I believe in God, I'm not sure how to answer that question. But it's something like when you are actually connected to God, you feel like kind of calm down and you don't feel lost in this world.
Perfect.
Actually
So we
feel
feel
that way.
safe in protection, kind of.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct.
Anybody else wants to answer? What is their reasoning, if they believe, and why? And if it is not, then why? Hare Krishna. Yeah, no problem. If nobody wants to answer, that's
Yeah,
fine
I
too.
just want to make sure that people feel safe here. Is
Yeah.
nobody is judging anybody, right? It's
Yes.
our
Yes.
convictions. It'll be very nice if we engage in a two-way dialogue. That way, things will go deeper in us. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that one. So no pressure if you don't want to answer, but if you can write or you can mention on your notepad or something, and then later we can check on what is our understanding and how it is being helpful, and then we can deepen based on that one. So perfect. Let's see. As per uh, collective discovery and people who wants to believe in others faith, or like what other is believing based on like how we are brought up, what part of culture we are, based on that we are actually following, if we believe in god. And that is the reasoning. Some people may believe god in terms of because they want to feel they are fearful of it, or somebody higher power is there, so better believe it, and I don't want to be later be problem in my life. So that is the reason. Some people may out of desire they want to believe, they want to achieve something in life, and they feel that, oh, if I believe it will be helpful for me. And some people may believe just because of the peer pressure around them. So if everybody is doing, then okay, let me also do it. If otherwise I'll be left out. And some people, they just do because of tradition is being followed, so they want to also continue. And some people who don't believe, they feel that okay, I have my own reasoning because I am doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm getting because of those. There is no someone else who is controlling. I am the master of all I survey, or my way is highway. So that way, but definitely everybody has their own reasoning. So what we will try to see here in this session is how we can see, is there any god, and if it is, then why we feel that way, or what are the logical and philosophical reasoning of it. So I want to share one beautiful story where once one sadhu, one sage, he came into one village, and in that village, he was asking question. So, how many of you believe in God? And like the same question which I asked. So everybody raised hand, and then sadhu thought, oh, everybody believes in God, so there is no need of mine. So he just leaves the village. After some time, some couple of months, he comes back, and then villager feels that okay, if uh, let me ask one more time question. But people have decided that okay, sadhu last time came and he didn't speak about anything, so he just came and he left. So half of the people will say that we believe in god, and half of the people will say we don't believe in god. That way he will stay and say something. So then they definitely did that, and then sadhu said, oh, if half of you believe, then you can teach the other half. So, and then he left again. So here actually this story illustrates that definitely at every point in time, in a class or in a forum, some people will believe, or everybody may believe, or some everybody may not believe. So it should not be collective. It should be an individual self realization, because everyone in our life, based on our different consciousness, we are at a different level, and based on that we can make an inquiry, and then find out if we can realize the presence of some higher power, or a god, we say, is there or not. So it should not be based on a circumstantial, as we discussed earlier. So if everything is happening good in my life, I believe in god, and if something is going wrong, oh, there is nobody, like that. And then that way some people do that. So that is also a different understanding of it. So some people may say, think, oh, why take chances? Once one person, he was having a big uh, firm he was opening. So at that time, he was thinking that I am opening $1 million firm, and if by chance God exists, then it should not create a problem in my profitable business. So let me do some ritual, so that if he is there, then he will not disturb, and he will provide in what I want. So he just did that puja or a ceremony, and then he continued. So definitely we asked this question earlier. So how many people here believe in God and why? But I just want to ask and check that, everybody in their life at some point in time, they have some understanding, but that evolves. And definitely that evolution is very important. And based on our life experiences, it becomes firm. So sometimes we have good experience and bad experience, and based on that, our whatever understanding is there, it becomes firm or gets slackened. So what we have to do is, when we are trying to understand about the concept of existence of God, we have to be with little bit of open-minded. Why I was saying that? Because in order to understand any subject matter, we put a sufficient amount of time to understand that subject matter. Just like we went to colleges in different streams like engineering, doctor, or medical, or any other scientific or non-scientific or art or philosophical studies, we gave a considerable amount of time to understand that subject matter. So same way, when we want to understand about the concept of God, it we have to be, bit open-minded, at the same time give a considerable amount of time, and uh, ask our doubts. So when we ask doubts, then it is more of what we say as a proper way of building a foundation. So now when I was saying about a foundation, it is that anything which is we are learning as basics, that basics foundation should be good, so that we can build upon top of it our building of understanding of the spirituality concepts. So once one scientist and boatman, they were going together in a boat, and that boat, he was driving, like kind of going a couple of miles so that he can cross uh, the river and go on the other side of it. So meantime, scientists thought, okay, this poor boatman may not know a lot of things, so let me ask him a question and check how good he is in terms of education. So he was asking him a different question. So he was asking, do you know about anything related to physics of how this river flows? So he said, no, scientist, I don't understand, but I definitely know that which way I have to, drive, then how I need to go further. So, oh, that is too poor. You are supposed to know this mechanic. Your 50% of life is waste. And then he asked that, uh, what is the quantum mechanics? Do you know anything about that? So he said, no, definitely he's a poor man. He's just, earning his livelihood with that, whatever profession he was doing. So he said, no. So I say, another 25% of life of yours is wasted. So at that time, weather kind of changed, and there was a lot of, disturbance in the river, and boat was about to be, taken in the whirlwind and then about to be drowned. So that time the boatman asked the scientist that, do you know swimming? So scientists say no. So he said, then your 100% life is wasted, because now you'll be about to die if you don't know swimming. So that is the position of a person. They in general, everybody have a different understanding or a subject matter understanding in their life. But in order to find out, like we discuss about the real problems of life, birth, old age, disease, and death, if we are not sufficiently inquiring about it, at the end of the life, definitely that whirlwind of death is going to come, and then it is going to drown us. So we have to make a sufficient inquiry so that we have a good amount of understanding of a spirituality, and we take some good amount of efforts into development of our consciousness. So we'll go into the next part of it, where we'll be checking about different philosophical and logical understanding of what are the proof for the existence of God. So this is a beautiful concept. You can try to remember. There are a couple of them coming. So creation implies a creator. So I'll ask question, and if you know the answer, if you can answer. Let me minimize this so that you can see the screen. I guess it was blocking. So can you name the inventor of the telephone? You have, if you are able to recollect. Anybody?
Alexander Graham Bell.
Graham Bell? Wonderful. So Alexander Graham Bell, there's the inventor of phone. Okay, now who is the inventor of steam engine?
Don't remember.
Very hard question, bro.
Oh, no, it's not like, I'm just asking in terms of it is, if you know, you can answer. Otherwise, it's fine. It will be a good information. So James Watt was the inventor of a steam engine. So next one. Can you name the inventor? What we see here, a telescope. The boy is
Telescope.
looking. Any name strikes? No? Okay, so Galileo, definitely he was not the first one, but he was the one who made a considerable discovery into the telescope. And can you name the inventor? Many people know this name of the electricity. Or a light bulb. No problem. Thomas Edison. You may be knowing it, but it may not be coming on top of mind. So that's fine. So can you name the inventor here?
God.
Oh, yes.
God.
So what does this imply? So whenever we see any creation, it implies a creator. So when we are seeing a small things, that time there is some inventor behind it. Just like we saw telescope, it was small, instrument, and then we saw about the light bulb, small one, electric current passing through. So still it has inventor. So same way when we are seeing this gigantic universe, do you think will be someone will be there to, make it? So there is one story which comes in my mind when once Newton, right? So he was having one friend, and he was non-believer of God. He was atheistic, and that's fine too. But he was, not even paying, little bit attention to what Newton was saying. So once that friend of Newton came to his house, and he had a very nice model of a solar system like this. And then he used to paddle it, and when he was paddling it, so all the planets were moving around in a very systematic order. And then his friend was very curious, and he asked that, can you please let me know how did you build this looks fascinating. So he said, no, today morning I just got up, and like yesterday night it was dark, and when I came in the room, and I just banged here there, and today morning when I got up, I saw this beautiful model was created. So he was saying, oh, don't make a fool out of me, like if you don't want to tell me, that's fine, but this can't be the reason. So then Newton said that, if you can't believe that this small model comes just by chance, how can this big universe with so much systematic, order can just come like that? So that was a beautiful point which Newton said. So for any creation implies a creator. So this first C. So in this also Big Bang, we know that in scientific theory is given that Big Bang happens and then creation comes. And there was one Big Bang construction company. So we'll see about what Big Bang is. Big Bang says that there was, at one point in time, there was infinite density, and in a single point with very high temperature, and it exploded, and then everything in the universe started getting created. So in our experience, this was one big bang construction company which was doing construction, something like that. They used to go in a place, they used to put some bomb, and then bomb used to explode and one nice building used to come up. Do we have anything in our experience like this, that with big bang, just to bomb, some beautiful building is coming up? No, right? So it is difficult to comprehend that, out of something, explosion, something beautiful creation can happen. So it is bit a contrary of what Big Bang theory is, but definitely it is just a theory. And when it was described that Big Bang theory, there was two concepts at the end of the Big Bang theory. They have written that it is physically unverifiable and mathematically undescribable. So it is kind of exactly points you to keep a faith on someone or something which created this universe. So that there also with any creation, it is implying as a creator. So who created this Big Bang? That question arises definitely. So first point we learned about, creation implies a creator. Second one is law implies a law maker. So in our day-to-day experiences, there are different laws which is being created, right? So in whatever country we stay or whatever company we work in, or even in our house also, we have different kind of small rules. So mother says that what children or husband they follow, right, each other's. So that way there are different kinds of laws, and which implies that there is a law maker, and there is somebody who is kind of observing these all activities. Just like in a airport also, different flights comes, they land, and they take off. So there are different people who are monitoring it. They are just not haphazard coming in. They have a lot of mechanism in place, and because of that everything is working very systematically, and everybody is getting served that way. So don't we think there can be some law of governing the universe around us? Every planet is following a different rules. The sun and moon, they are coming and rising at a specific time, and as a perspective to our earth, we see they are rising and setting. So, and they're moving at a different speed, very precise way. And we are also at a specific location from the sun where life form is existing. So law implies someone who has created that law. Even we see a beautiful objects, we didn't create it, right? So there's someone else who has, we definitely saw a seed, but we don't control. Even like when we are eating any food, we know how much we can put, but then digestion totally doesn't depend on us. We don't know how we are digesting. Even what we also take a breath, right? So, and we are not even conscious about it. It is happening. So our body is also automatically functioning without even our own knowledge. Definitely, there are different parts of the body which is helping it to function, but that is we are not consciously doing it. And there are different physical laws. Law of optics, we put some stick into the water, it kinds of feels it is bending. Then there are different law of mechanics. When we try to hit some ball, it is sometimes it goes, sometimes too much wind is there, you may not able to hit the goal also. So there are different law exist in this world. And for there's a third point where any organization which we see, there is some some people or a source behind it, and there is a lot of order in it. So when we are getting electricity in our house, there are so many people working for giving us that electricity. So there are different kinds of equipments involved. There are a lot of people who are controlling it. There are different source by which electricity is being produced. And then same way we are even getting that nurturing from the environment as well. So we see sunlight. So that is not created by us, that is created by someone. So there is some organization should be behind that too. And then we see a lot of order in the universe. This is just an example of water supply. So many of the Indian people may know that there is something called as syntax for the water supply in our house, but definitely there is some big water source. So in natural thing, we see clouds are there which are giving us the rain, and this one company which gives fruity, you may have heard, like a lot of people in the childhood they may have used this brand, and they take a juice, but where that actually that juice comes from? So from some actual fruit, not from that sachet pouch. And there another point comes where any complicated design implies an intelligent designer behind it. So you may or may not know about the giraffe. There is very beautiful like design in terms of, because giraffe has the longest neck, and that longest neck
Yeah.
in terms of not in terms of earlier dinosaurs and those kinds of, but right now in our experience they have a longest neck, right? So this giraffe, uh, in order to support the blood supply to their brain, they have to have a big heart of 11 kg, around 24 pounds, and that heart's length is almost 2 feet long. So there is one mechanism of one-way check valve. So when this giraffe kinds of bends down, then all that blood supply should not rush into the brain, otherwise brain will explode. So there is one-way check valve in the neck where it is kind of before the supply goes into the brain, it restricts. So that in their heart, it is a one-way check valve, and there is a sponge also, which kind of absorbs if there is an extra flow of blood. So that kind of great mechanism is being put into giraffe's body.
Please do
So
not
now,
block the doors. Allow people to exit.
I'll put. So for that one, like you see that there is so much complicated design being there for giraffe to sustain the blood flow. Same way, there are different, plants or animals. They have a different kind of mechanism in them. But who developed this mechanism? So definitely there is a theory about, theory of evolution where, every living entity, they kind of slowly based on the environment, they kind of develop their body so that they can survival of fittest can happen. So those kind of theories are there, but at the same time we have to understand that without an intelligent designer this cannot be possible. So theory of evolution mentioned about the over the period of time, or any animals is being evolved, and then they are kind of doing it. But we have to understand that any kind of different design implies an intelligent designer. So same way, if we see in a microscopic or a macroscopic world, there is so much of design is being put. Otherwise, this will not be existing. So even if we look around us and we see, even if you are, say, sitting in a room, you have a window, right? So before the window, we have different objects. Those objects are being created by someone. Even if we see that way far out of the window, we see some plants, which we may not have created, right? Or may not have planted. And then we see the sky and beyond. So we have our definitely range of things which we can see and comprehend. So same way, microscopic and macroscopic world should be governed by these all laws, and mathematical equations should be governing it, right? So now some people may ask, can you show me God? So definitely it is a very valid question, because you are asking me, does God exist? Then that question is very natural to come. If you show me God, then I will believe that there is a God. But then now we have to see that how we can see God, and is it really we have that instrument, where we can see God. So let us, kind of see about the theory of cause and effect. So whenever anything is, we are seeing in our experiences also, we feel the air. So we don't see the air, but then because of there is some cause of a fan which is producing that air, we see that there is some fan which is making that air come towards me. So there is some cause and effect. So same way, when we try to see the cause of effect in terms of electricity also, we can't see it, but we see the effect of it. We see the bulb, we see the fan running, we see our AC running. In our Florida atmosphere, if AC doesn't run, we can imagine how bad it will be, right? So we have to see that there is some cause and effect by which we can perceive some things. And same way, like if somebody is shooting an arrow, like when we see the arrow coming, we immediately think that, oh, somebody may have shot it. Otherwise, arrow cannot come just by itself. So we know that there is someone who is shooting the arrow. And same way, like you may have seen some dolls, dancing, but some puppeteer is there who is making those dolls dance. So same way, we have to understand that whenever we are seeing anything for which we may or we may not be able to see the source immediately. So just like a child may not be able to, know the source of the milk which comes in the bottle. So we have, as child may think, oh, it is in fridge always, but mama goes to the, like grocery store, and from there she buys. But somebody puts into the grocery store, and somebody actually, like packs that same milk in the bottle, and ultimately, cow is there who is giving that milk, and somebody who is farming it, and from their dairy, you are getting the milk. So sometimes we may or may not be able to see the actual cause. Just like this is the example of pearls, a very nice necklace. But how many of you see the thread in this one? Hello? Do we see thread in this picture?
No. No.
No, right? But can we say that thread is there in this? Can we imply?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because beads are in alignment.
Beads are in alignment. So beads are perfectly in aligned, and there is a perfect necklace, right? So same way, we can understand that some things are not being seen, but it gives us the understanding that without the thread, this necklace cannot exist. The same way, in the entire manifestation, we see everything is in a very nice order, and in a very perfect timelines, everything happens. So we can imply there that something may be there, some cause, which is higher power, who is actually sustaining all that. So now we got to learn, two things, 4 points we learned. So in that one, we saw first that there is some creation implies creator, right? Law implies a lawmaker. And then there is some organization and order behind everything. And then any design which we see, definitely there is some intelligent designer. So now we'll see something about what is the definition of God. So this is also very important. And before we go further, do you have any question of what we have covered till now?
It's very nicely done.
Oh, thank you, Mataji.
Very well.
Yes,
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
So you spoke about evolution, right? So I've always had this question when, even as a child, like when during what do you say, caveman, Neanderthal, did they have a concept of God? When did the concept of God actually come into our society?
Oh, this is very nice question, actually. And definitely, like we have a different understanding of based on how it is being documented and what we have studied in schools or colleges, because systematic education is being definitely not being given about God. When we go to the school, we learn about ABCD, and then we get to know things so that we can later we can learn our earn our livelihood. So definitely this concept is not being given. But concept of God is, in terms of we see our Shastric understanding, it is there from time immemorial, because definitely every different civilization go through a different phases, and that way how they learn, and based on a different what we say exchanges between the two communities also, their even concept may evolve. So as we learn that cavemen and those things were there before, and they may have also tried to learn about some higher power, or everybody tries to inquire based on what we saw. That is very obvious. But people are behind, definitely daily bread and butter they want to earn, so they may not have this time to even give a thought about it. But if we see in different traditions or scriptures, different religion comes at different point in time, and then they have a concept or understanding about God, and that they evolve eventually. But in terms, if we see that this creation is very old, and even based on our scriptures it is cyclic, so different yugas and they come up, and concept or understanding of about God is there from the time immemorial, but different people perceive in a different way. So maybe that much I can share for now, but in the further session that will be explained much more in detail. So if you can wait for that time to happen, it will be much more detail. You will be able to get the answer, if that is okay.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
So we'll go further in this definition, and then I have a lot of things to cover, but let's see if I'll be able to. So who is God? So there is a definition of God. So God is the supreme source of everything which we see in this world by definition. So we are not discussing who God exactly right now. We are just discussing about God who, in terms of definition, what defines the God. So the person or personality who is the supreme source of everything, of origin. Then, so just like we see the water running in the tap, but there is some source from where water comes. Same way, the supreme source of it. Even here, example. And then everything which is in our survey that has some source. Same way, there is a supreme source of everything coming from the nature, and nature is being provided by some supreme power. And then second is, he is the proprietor of everything. We come in this world, we are there for a couple of years, or say 100 years or a little more, but we are being proprietor for a limited period of time. But he is the proprietor for everything. So we own our house, we buy and then we sell it, and then somebody else become the proprietor, but he is the proprietor of everything, supreme proprietor. In same way, we also, in our experiences, we enjoy, right? So different things we enjoy, we eat food, we go out, but he is the one who is the supreme enjoyer of everything in we survey, because we are here for a limited period of a time, and then we enjoy the limited resources we have. So we may be the, like owner of a big house mentioned, and we are enjoying it, but he is the enjoyer of entire manifestation of creation. And we are also in a control, like we may be control of our laptop or our phone, or maybe our car or our house, or maybe if we are running a company or a country, then we are control of those, but he is controller of everything. And the second definition comes. So first we saw about that He is the supreme source. He is the supreme proprietor. He is the enjoyer, and he is the controller. So we can remember it by SPEC, SPEC. So supreme source, proprietor, enjoyer, and controller. Second definition of God comes where he's called as Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the one who possesses the 6 opulences. So we'll see what are those opulences. So we have in our experience the wealthy person, right? So currently Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, but who is the richest person in entire creation? So that is God. So some person has some limited wealth, we get attracted by them. So, but the God is the one who has the entire wealth of this creation. So we called him Dhanavan in Sanskrit or Hindi. And strong person. So some people may be strong, some people may be a little more stronger than them, but the God is the one who is the strongest. So we call Balavan. And some people are learned, some people may have 1 degree, some people may have 2. One guy, he has more than 144 degrees. So they're a learned person, but the God is the one who knows about everything in the entire creation. And, he is the one who is creating order and organization in the entire creation. So he is the learned person, Vidwan. So we see the one who possesses these all 6 opulences. So what are those 6 opulences? We'll see in the next slide. So he is called as Bhagavan. We say Bhaga. So Bhaga means the one who possesses the 6 opulences. It's called Bhagavan. So one who is most richest, the most strongest, is the most beautiful. Here we say before 6 beers, this is what we are there, and after the 6 beer person is having, the concept of beauty changes. So he's seeing the old lady and the young lady there. So, and he is the supreme knowledgeable, and he is a supremely famous, and he is a renunciate, supreme renunciation. So these are the 6 opulences which comes. So he is the richest, he is the super strong, he is supreme beauty, supremely famous, and supremely renunciate. So these 6 opulences, if anybody possess in full, he is or that personality should be called as Bhagavan. Because we see in our limited experience, only some people may have some amount of that quality, but not everybody possess everything. And now the most important part of our session, which is very important to understand, that we got to know about different definitions of God, existence of God in terms of being a creator, a lawmaker, or the person who is creating organization and order into the entire creation, or he is creating a design, or God is the person who is the supreme source of everything. He is the proprietor, he is enjoyer, or he is a controller of everything, and he is the he possesses the 6 opulences, and he is called as Bhagavan. But how can we perceive this Bhagavan? Can we see him directly, or how can we experience? So this is the basic question comes into our mind, that if God is there, we got to know about his qualities, but then how can we actually try to see him? How can we understand or experience him? So this is the most important part of the session, where we see that first way of acquiring knowledge about God is pratyaksha, because anything which we experience in this world, it is experienced by our 6 senses. So we have our eyes, ears, nose, sense of touch, and our tongue. So all these 6 senses which we have, by which we try to understand things around us. And because our senses are limited in their capacity, like from our eyes, we can't see the farthest or the nearest thing. We need a microscope to see the microscopic thing. We need telescope to see the far objects, which is, even farther than moon, or moon we can see from here. Definitely other planets are also visible in a very tiny thing, but we may not be able to perceive. So we have to use a telescope to see, oh, okay, this is Jupiter or this Mars or like that. So our eyes also has a limitation, same way our ears has limitation. And then we have a limitation with our even sense of touch also. Sometimes we touch some cold thing, and then we touch little, less cold than that, we may not be able to perceive. And sometimes, like, you may have experience of eating oranges. So if you eat orange after taking some sweet, orange will not even taste sweet at all. But if you taste a lemon, and after that we taste orange, it will taste more sweeter. So our senses are also limited. At the same time, experience can be deceiving. So pratyaksh praman comes that way. So now, okay, very nice painting here. What do you see here? Anybody would to like to answer? Hare Krishna.
I see the two old people, but in their eyes, I see the two adults or younger than them. And then in the ear, I think maybe I should say
Some lady entering in the
lady, yeah,
coming out or
isn't
like that. Yes.
coming
Wonderful.
out.
And then
Or
you see.
someone may say that he's imagining the goddess,
Oh,
or God.
okay. Very nice. And you see some, glass also kind of in between this yellow part.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, different people may perceive differently because, the painter has painted that way so that, it may be appealing in a different way. So he has tried to put multiple things together. Very nice. And this one, it is also, do you see something moving?
Yes.
Is it really moving?
No, I think it's my eyes.
Yeah, we are perceiving that way, right? If you close, like half close your eyes a little bit, you may be able to see that it is not moving at all.
Yes.
Perfect. And what do we see here?
I see the ocean with the clouds and with the ships
Ship.
and waves.
Yes, perfect. You see here ship?
Sky, maybe sky.
Sky, perfect. But
And
you don't see ship here and then immediately ship appears here? Right?
because they are closer view and they are far away.
Far
That's
away,
what
right.
I think.
So it is like a little bit deceiving, right?
Right.
It also looks like a wall,
Yes, it does.
Wall?
Look.
Okay.
like
Yeah,
with
definitely.
like a colonnade.
Column, yeah, this column. Perfect. So our eyes can, like if we look further here, then it will look as a kind of a bridge or something. And when it comes here, we see it as a ship, right? Based on how we are perceiving. So this shows that our eyes, whatever we are seeing, it may or may not be the truth what we are seeing. We may perceive it that way. Definitely, like nowadays we know that, like if we have some numbers in our eyes, we have to put the specs. Then only we can see or read. Otherwise, it is even difficult to see nearest or farthest object, right? So we can't even completely rely on our senses. We can't completely rely on our senses of hearing also. So like dog whistle, if somebody does, then dog can hear it, but we can't hear it. So we have our limited range of even hearing capacity or seeing capacity, smelling or tasting capacity, right? So beyond that, it is very difficult to perceive. So that was one way of acquiring knowledge, which is pratyaksha. Pratyaksha meaning acquiring knowledge with the senses, our six senses. Now, second way of knowledge is called Anuma and Brahma. Anuman, you may have known. So Anuman means you are trying to predict or guesswork. That's what we can call. So you are guessing that it may be like this or it may be like that, but you are not 100% sure. So you are kind of making a guesswork there. So if say like you see at a distance, some person is coming, you may try to predict, oh, it may be that friend or this friend. So you are kind of guessing it. You may or may not be sure. So there are different activities we do in our life. That time we try to guess. So that is one way of acquiring knowledge also. And we make an assumption, try to do something, and try to find out if that assumption was correct. So that is assumption part. And there is a third and most important way of acquiring knowledge is called Shabda Praman. So Shabda Praman is a bona fide way of understanding of some knowledge in an authoritative disciplic succession. What I mean by that is that, say now child is learning ABCD, right? So he or she is trying to learn that ABCD from his teacher. Teacher had learned from his teacher and his teacher, like that. So ABCD. So now people may change it from A to Z and B to Z, or like that, C, or like that. So that can happen. But we are not guessing it. It's somebody has taught, and that is the way we are learning. So same way, when we are trying to learn about God, we are learning from the authoritative sources, so that we are getting that knowledge in a very systematic way, because they have experience, and they have learned also from the teacher, and they have learned from their teacher. So that is called Shabda Praman. So now when we see or hear, say like this is just an example of radio or some authoritative news channel, when we hear from them, when they are saying something, say example, recently we had a hurricane, right, here in Florida, which passed through, which caused a lot of destruction. But then a lot of news channels were predicting it from long time based on a different models available, and they were saying that it will hit here and like that. And then people were making preparation in a different way. If you are in a path of a hurricane, then you are relocating somewhere else. Or if you are like a little bit outside and you're impacted in a way of a lot of rain, you may be collecting different grocery materials, so that if light goes away or some inconvenience happen, then you have some resources so that you can use it in those kind of circumstances. So you are relying on some authoritative sources like a radio or a news channel or some websites which are predicting, because it is coming from some authoritative source. So same way, when we want to learn about God, we have to rely on some authoritative sources of scriptures, where they are giving this knowledge in a very understandable and systematic way. Definitely there are way of giving which we can immediately perceive, or some ways which is given so that we follow that practice, then we will be able to perceive, or some particular concept we may not be immediately able to understand, but when we give a sufficient time and practices in that, then definitely we'll be able to understand or perceive those as well. So what is scripture? That is written word of God. Now different religion may have a different text or a scriptures which is given. From there we are trying to learn about God. So that is called as a Shabda Praman. So now on what basis we should put faith in the scriptures? So now like we talk all about different logical understanding, analytical understanding of it, what all kind of way of acquiring knowledge, pratyaksha, anuman, and shabda praman. But how can we put a faith in scriptures who some old sage wrote in thousands of years back? And is it possible they may have come to that conclusion that time far in the past, where we have now a lot of very fancy gadget and we are not able to come up? How can we put faith in those scriptures which is written thousands of years back? So let us see how some understanding of it. So when we are checking and putting some faith in some scriptures, what we are essentially doing it, we are checking first the historical information about it. So in Bhagavatam, third canto, there is a very great descriptions of embryo development is mentioned. Now, please keep a note that this scripture was written 5,000 years back. And if you try to read this section on the third canto, that understanding was recently developed by our science now, just 1 or 2 decades back. So that kind of precise information was given 5,000 years back. So we can understand the level of the people who must have put that scripture, whose sages or the people foreseeing the understanding of that embryological development in human fetus. And even you all know about cow dung, right? So cow dung importance is being written in a lot of our scriptures from time immemorial, saying the antibacterial properties and a lot of medicinal values. But the science is being discovering recently, not before. So some things were not accepted before, but now because science is mentioning, this was written in the different part of our scriptures and being used in our practices long time back. And even different kinds of, seasonal changes and astronomical, those changes are being given in our different kind of shastras also. So you may have heard about Surya Siddhanta or different scriptures mentioning the astronomical movement of the earth in the solar system, and based on that, how it is going to impact our well-being. And even within the year, we go through a different seasons. So that was the one part of a historical understanding of it. And now when we see it as an instruction manual also, now in terms of instruction manual is like, just like you go to the shop, now Thanksgiving is coming, right? So we go and we buy some product where we get good discount so that we can have that product in, some nice affordable price. So we go and buy those products, but along with that, we get some instruction manual, right? So in that instruction manual, we get the information on how to properly utilize that particular instrument. So we get the better results. But say if we don't want to use the manual, we'll be able to operate it, but may not be 100% perfect. Just like we had one, bread maker at our home, but there is so much different combinations available, like which modes you can use, and then different combination, which flour you can use, and then you can mix it. So it produces different bread and it tastes also different. So unless we have instruction manual for any object which even created by us, so what to speak of about the instrument which we have got, this body and even this world around us, and how to operate it and properly use it so that we can be benefited properly. So we can take it as an instruction manual. And then third is the different predictions which happened. So maybe I kind of screwed up the slide a little bit, but sorry for that. So Gautam Buddha also is predicted in our different scriptures, which is 5,000 years back, but Gautam Buddha appeared 2,500 years back. Even Jesus Christ appeared, a little more than over 2,000 years, I guess. So we say, based on that, we calculate our years currently, right? So before Christ and after Christ, like that. So, and there is a prediction of Chandragupta Maurya, or recently we know about the Chanakya. So those are the personality which were predicted well before time, so 5,000 years back in Bhavishya Purana and Bhagavatam, and many other scriptures like Rig Veda and Samaveda. So there, these personalities were predicted. So we can see the authority of the scriptures. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you may or may not know about. Really, my slides are a little bit bad, I guess. I put something in between. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not visible. Let me see if I can remove it for time being. And see if it comes back. Okay. Yeah, is there? Okay. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was predicted even in Bhagavatam, and he came just little over 500 years ago. And Chandragupta Maurya and Chanakya was there, but I deleted it, so you'll not be able to see. So this is what we discussed in today's day 2. I'll just recap it in 2 minutes, and then we can take some questions if you have. So we discussed about the proof of existence of God. So we know about, we discussed about the creation implies creator. Then we discussed about law implies a lawmaker. Then organization and order within the universe, and then design implies a designer. Then we discuss about the definition of God. We discuss about the spec. So who is the supreme source of everything? He is the proprietor of everything. He is the enjoyer of everything, and he is the controller. So spec. And then Bhagwan, 6 opulence we discussed. Discuss about the all rich. He is the richest. He is the strongest. He is the beautiful, most beautiful. He has the most wisdom, learned personality. He is the famous, and he is the most renunciate person. So Bhagavan. So one who possesses all these 6 qualities in full is called Bhagavan. Then how we can see the God? So we learned about cause and effect. So sometimes we can see some things, but just like air coming out of the fan, or we saw the arrow flying, but then somebody who shoot the arrow. So that way there is some cause and effect. So sometimes we see the cause, but we see the effect, but we are not able to see the cause. So that way we can see the God. Now, when we want to acquire the knowledge about God, what are the different ways of acquiring knowledge? Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, and Shabda Praman. Pratyaksha Praman is the with our senses what we acquire the knowledge. Anuman is we try to like contemplate or guesswork. We try to guesswork through our mind. Okay, if this is looking like this may be like this. So there is some ifs and buts there. Maybe like this, maybe like that. But there is Anuman. You are guessing. And Shabda Praman, you are learning from the authoritative sources so that it is more precise, and you are learning about the concept as it is. So different scripture are written, and based on that, you are kind of getting the word of God. And why we put it the faith in these scriptures? Because they are giving historic references. Then they are giving us a different prediction, and at the same time, the last one I forgot. Let me just go back. If you remember, instruction manual. So it is giving us a different instruction, right? So based on that, we can try to use the body or world around us given to us, so that we can definitely make a use out of it in a proper way. So these are the topics which I wanted to cover in this session, where you very patiently heard, and thank you so very much for that. And if you have any question or comments or anything would you like to say or ask, you are very much welcome. Sorry, I'm very sorry I took like almost 10-15 minutes over the time, but I'm happy that I was able to cover. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. It is very thought-provoking, and hope we will take the notes and think through it and understand the importance of what you said today, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone has any
Yeah,
question?
it is yes, well, nicely. Everything is really cleared. All the ideas very nicely. I think in the old time, the people have more time and their observation was very focused. So
Yes,
we
yes.
all have experienced, and not only experience, we experience every day. But we say coincidence.
Coincidence.
It just happened. Then we come out with the saying, oh, this one was vibration because I wanted, and that's how it happened. So the people gave the name vibration that I was thinking, and that thing happened. But actually speaking, if we think about this, all the people in all the religion, if their books, if we read carefully, all the morals, everything is written more or less similar. Even I see Christianity, go to the Bible, go to the church and sit there, and you will see the same thing which we have in our temples or our religious thing. Now we see the holidays. I always wonder that when Diwali comes, here comes Thanksgiving and Christmas or Ramadan, whatsoever, right? So it seems like the human has experienced something in the past. We say the doctors gave the medicine, but our people, they found out the leaves and stems and roots, and they gave us the medicine. Only difference, I think their observation was so good that something happened, they were able to focus. And when they were focused, they probably saw the vision, which we are not able to see because our brain is not in one direction. We have too many directions going on, and that's what it is. And then we say, well, if my brain doesn't know, eyes don't see. The thing is, Gautam Buddha sat down and he made his brain. Then he was able to see. Christianity, same thing. Jesus did whatsoever it is, then we did. He did. And if you see, in old time, Raman had Viman. So everything was there. We are thinking, we are discovering new thing. In the end, your thing, whatsoever you talked, made lots of things very clear. Only thing I think is that all the human beings experienced the same thing. And they came out their different manual. Because when a child is born, probably right away he was knowing that somebody has sent to me and somebody is there to take care of him. Right? So the child doesn't know anything, he's taken care. So I just think that God exists. Universe is too big, our eyes cannot see. We are not focused in our brain. So our observation is so limited that now we are wondering, is the God exist or not? But those people, they sat in one place for years and years, and they were able to predict everything. So that's what, but your lecture was very nice, beautiful, and I enjoyed.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely you put that, like we have a lot of distraction nowadays. And then something which is very seemingly obvious, we are not able to see, and definitely different traditions they have come up with and they gave to different people. So very nice to hear you, Mataji. It was very profound. You spoke only 2-3 minutes, but you covered everything almost. So thank you so very much for that insight. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shanti Mataji. You really summarized the whole class. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So anybody has any question? If no one has any question, then I'll like to say something, and then we'll end this class. So going once, twice, like that.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So I just want to say one thing before we leave. If you get a chance, definitely Kokila Mataji is putting a lot of effort, and thank you so very much for that, and different speakers who are coming and giving their value of wisdom. So if you get some time, and if you can go through the slides or presentation or a class, and try to keep your personal notes, because as we progress in the session, we may try to forget what we have learned before. But definitely next speaker who is going to come, they are going to summarize it in before they try to start the class. But if you can spend some time and go through the stuff, it will be very helpful for you. And it will keep your interest also alive. So thank you so very much for coming and spending your valuable time. We'll meet in the next session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Bhagavan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.